Hi guys, so I'm sitting here following up with finances and apartments as usual, and this is what's going on now, $5,000, okay? I'm still owed $11.75 security from North Maine. I reached out to Mr. Patrick Flanagan again today with a phone call. I've made a couple phone calls and sent him a couple texts. Let me move this over here a minute. And I've received no response. And this is why I made the right decision, because when I moved in there were already problems. So if a landlord can't spend 15, 20 minutes, go through an apartment, make sure the basics are all done before you move in, then it's not a place that you want to commit to for a year, and you should have a little time to decide that, which I did. Things weren't done when I moved in. Now this man was standing on the porch badgering me about the bank transfer, which was $2,400. I gave him it was $11.75. I think it was 23 something. So I gave him the confirmation number. He wanted me to call the bank in the middle of moving in, which I did. I was very respectful. I called the bank. They reassured me he was going to get his money. Okay, and he did. It was because it was a transfer went in on Friday, so it takes 3 to 5 business days. Okay, so Mr. Flanagan, Patrick Flanagan, got his money, and we proceeded, and there were problems. Okay, so now I'm waiting for my security, and he doesn't return texts, and he doesn't return phone calls. Now maybe he's away, maybe there's another situation, maybe something came up, but certainly I made the right decision. And I made it the night that I got there because things weren't done. So you can't force someone into a lease situation. When you get there, you look over the apartment and things aren't as promised, okay? Which was the situation in that apartment. And it's the situation in this one. I'm not going to commit. As soon as I get into the apartment, I walk 3 flights upstairs, I move everything in, and there's no working refrigerator, okay? So it was the same thing with Mr. Flanagan's apartment. I lost a week worth of groceries. That was $100 plus all the other things that weren't right with the apartment. So what I want to touch base with today is, as I go forward, I'm not going to be looking at any more leases. And this was my hesitation when I started this. So it's not something I recommend. A monthly situation is fine, because if anything goes wrong, then they want to keep more money from you, like they want to do here at Hudson Capital Properties. If you can't provide the basics, then there's no sense going forward. A person has to be able to look at the place, and certainly there was 3 of them when I looked at here. There was one on Dove. They said I didn't qualify. So then I looked at one downstairs, and then this one was 3 flights up. I get in here the first night, and there's no working refrigerator. And it was the same thing with this apartment over on North Main. Okay, so now he's giving me a hard time about the security. Okay, so, he was right there waiting on the step for his money, but now when it comes to giving me my money, he doesn't want to give it. So something like a lease isn't something I would consider with a landlord like that. And this needs to be exposed. I mean, you go through all this process to get an apartment. You have to have 3 times the rent. You have to have these references. You have to have credit, screening, this, that, and the other thing they put you through. And then when you get in there, they don't seem to think that they even have to give you the basics. And then they want to keep your security. You've paid a month's rent. You haven't even unpacked, which I have continued to pay. I'm more than willing to pay the month's rent, even though, you're sitting here with your suitcases unpacked, and you have to spend the month looking for another place to live. Okay? I never ever did that as a landlord. I was a landlord 20 years. I made sure the basics were working. I never went into somebody's apartment at one time because they left the water running and the bathtub flooded. And then I respectfully called the tenant, and then we had to go in and turn off the water and so on and so forth. So if this what's going on out there, then no, you do need some protections. And this has gone on repeatedly, because on Ridge Road, they pulled the same thing. I filled out the small claims. I waited to call and go to court, and they never responded to my small claims. Then when you're homeless, the police roll up and destroy all your stuff. So then all your legal documents are gone, all your evidence is gone, and these people, like the Cernacks, which my mother knew about because they're all friends and they're friends with the Spencers, got away with ripping me off for like $1,200 because I ended up, it was the first, they usually, with this TV scam, oh, there's a TV in an apartment, and then you buy it, which I did there, $100, and it was broken, it didn't work right. And it was scam after scam after scam, and then my car was vandalized. So it's on and on with this kind of stuff, and the consumer, the tenant, has no protection because you walk into the court and you don't have a lawyer, and you don't have this and that, and you're scrambling to get another place. So I will continue to talk about some of this stuff because this has gone on repeatedly since they put me out of my own home. And it seems to me, considering the way housing is and stuff, that should have been taken into consideration when I, started talking about my case originally. I was only given $700 a month, which was a total sham. And I said to the judge, how are you supposed to find housing for $700 a month? And this was 5 years ago, before things started skyrocketing the way they are now. So once again, I'm trying to follow up with this landlord, and now I'm in a situation with this landlord. So we're talking $5,000 now. Who has that kind of money to throw away and not be treated with some respect about housing? And certainly this has gone on since the beginning, when my ex-husband was allowed to do whatever he wanted, and I'm sitting in a parking lot asking these judges how you can possibly deliberate on my case, and this is your answer. Because once you're in a situation like this, it becomes repeated scams because people know they can get away with this stuff. It's not a big area. And certainly today, I'm looking in Amsterdam at rentals. We're bleeding population, and these people continue to play games with housing, and it needs to be exposed. Be safe, guys.